Hey everybody, today I'll be reviewing, sort of, the Gamermax 600 watt power supply. It's an RGB model and it has a RGB fan. It has an eco mode on the back here, and that eco mode turns the fan on and off. When it's not on the load, it'll turn the fan off until it needs it. When it's enabled or disabled, it'll turn the fan on for, halfway, as if it was under half load. So this power supply has a regular ketchup and mustard cable with some other cables that are modular. These are modular cables. It has a CPU cable, which is kind of red, and a SATA cable, which is just black, and it's got room for 2 SATA connections. And then modular cables, we have this fluorescent green cable for your PCIe video card. I'm not a fan of the color. I'm not gonna lie. This is I would much prefer it black. And they have 2 other module cables for Molex and SATA cable. So expansion on your hard drives, or if you run a fan that needs Molex, you could have those connections, which you don't see, and these are black. So seems like the ones that you do see, which are this one and this one, have some crazy color to it, which I'm not a fan. Again, the look of the power supply is fine. It's also a fluorescent green, and on the label, which you could just pick the label off if you really don't like the label, and it's being seen. That's really not that big of a deal. But the reason why I have this out is the Corsair V550, which is a white certification power supply, and it was a little cheaper than this RGB Gamermax, which is a bronze label, bronze rated power supply. And again, this right here is a white rated power supply, name brand Corsair. The reason why I have those out is I just wanted to kind of give you the difference between the two. On this hand, no cables are modular, so it just means that all the cables are attached in some way, shape, and form to the power supply, as you see here. They're all ketchup and mustard cables. They're all pretty ugly, but the connections are black, and to me that's a little better than something that has a red or a fluorescent green cable. The noise level for this this power supply comes with an AC power connection that is right here, and this power supply, which is the one that we're opening today, the Gamermax, has absolutely no power connection to it. No power cable, I should say, not power connection. So it has no power cable, and I guess they decided that they would save some money on power cables. But for the price, I believe it was around $55. Again, this one here, $45, has a power cable. This one here, $55, no power cable. They're both about the same wattage. This one is white powered, white certification. This one's bronze. So there is a little bit of a certification with the Gamermax power supply. But there's a big difference, and I'll get to that in a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this Gamermax power supply with my power meter in front of it, with a dB meter in front of it. All right, we're back, and I jumped the leads for the power, pins 3 and 4. I don't know if you want to see that real quick. I can show you. If you take your power, connection, and you simply jump pins 3 and 4 like so, that'll make your power supply run, just like it would be in if the power was on your computer. So if that helps anybody to diagnose a power supply, all the better. So here we have the power supply not running, and I'm going to show you the ambient noise with the birds in the background. It's about 30 without the birds, and the birds chirping up to about 33. But that's the trouble of having birds. They're like noisy fish. Okay. So this is with the power level is on, so it's producing voltage, but it's more like if you had just the desktop running, without any load. Now, if you press this button that I'm flicking, if I press it in, that's going to enable the turn off the eco mode. And it'll ramp up as if your power supply was under full load. And that is the decibels that it runs. It's running approximately 20 dB over ambient noise. So you'll see, and if you look at the noise when it first ramps up, that'll be more like if you have a load on it, like you're playing a video game. So around 60 dB if you're playing a game that's heavily graphics, or if you're doing a multitask load on your PC, rendering, editing, anything like that. This is what you're going to get. Now, I did run this power supply under a 2700, a Ryzen 2700, and a RX 580, and I ran it. I stress tested it for around 20 minutes, and the noise coming off this fan was very, very loud. It was definitely the loudest thing in my case. So this is the RGB on it. It's not adjustable. The RGB there is no pins or adjustment to this RGB. And if this annoys you, because you might see this in your case if you have this fan right side up, if you have a chance to put the fan down, you're going to see it coming out of the bottom of your case, these colors, which is not for everybody. So I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to hook up the Corsair power supply just to show you the difference in the sound between the Corsair white powered 550, which is around the same wattage as this one, and you'll see the noise difference. All right, we're back with our jumper, and we're going to jumper these two together. You see the fan did turn on. And we already know our ambient noise level is around 30. And you see, with this thing running, it's just so much quieter. There's a world of difference. And even under load, this thing would be way quieter than the other one. Under load, you might be able to, even if you doubled it to, let's just say you doubled the noise level, which is 3 dB, and it was 36 or 38, that would be far less than this power supply, which the other power supply, which is clearly audible at at the same price point. I don't like the other power. Let's go back. Hold on a second. So the question is, would I buy this power supply again? And the answer would be no. The only reason why I bought this in the first place was because they were offering for a good review, they were going to give it to people for free. So I jumped on it and I said, well, it's a bronze rated power supply. Let me see if I could get it for free. And if I gave a good review, it would be free. Obviously, I'm not going to get this for free because this is not going to be a good review. I'm going to return this to Amazon for a full refund. I would recommend nobody actually buy this model. It's I'm not 100% sure if it's a really. It says bronze rated. I don't know who the rating's by. It certainly is loud. It did pass the stress test. I'll say that, but I don't think it's actually worth the money. Especially that there's better on the market. There's better power supplies for the same price point with a power cable and a lot less noisy. So that's my review. Sorry I didn't like it, but that's why you get to return things. Thanks, everybody.